U.S. market analysis, size, growth, segmentation. Imagine you decide to open a cafe. You know what coffee you'll brew, what desserts you'll serve, and even how each cup will look. But what if you open it in the middle of a desert where only one car passes by a week? Or in a city where there are already 10 similar cafes on every corner? Knowing your customer is half the battle. The other half is understanding how big the city you're going to work in is, how many residents it has, and if there's room for your cafe. Market analysis isn't just about filling out spreadsheets. It's your strategic planning that determines whether the game is even worth the candle, where to direct your efforts, and where to look for growth potential. We will look for answers to 3 key questions. How big is the market? Potential demand volume. How fast is it growing? Future prospects. How is it segmented? Where is your niche, and who are your specific customers within this market? And yes, we'll make it engaging so your eyes don't glaze over from dry numbers. Data sources. Where are the gold mines of information hidden? In the information age, data is the new oil. And for the U.S. market, its deposits are simply colossal. The main thing is to know where to drill. Forget about guessing from coffee grounds. We need proven and authoritative sources. U.S. Census Bureau. What it is. This is the gold standard for demographic and economic data. They collect information about everything, from population size and composition to household income, education levels, employment, housing conditions, and even business statistics. Why it's important. Want to know the average family income in Texas or the number of households with children under 5 in New York? This is where you go. This data is fundamental for understanding the scale and structure of your potential audience. How to use. Visit www.census.gov. Here you'll find sections like population and housing, economy, income and poverty, and business and economy. For easier searching, I recommend using the search field or the data section to access various tools like Data Explorer or Quick Facts, which allow you to quickly find key statistics by state, county, and city. There's a lot of information there, but to start, focus on data relevant to your demographics and geography. Industry reports, Gartner, Forrester, Statista, IBISWorld, Euromonitor. What it is. These are paid, mostly, or partially free research studies that analyze specific industries. They contain growth forecasts, market size, key players, trends, and challenges. Why it's important. If you're in AI, fintech, healthcare, or e-commerce, these reports will give you a deep understanding of your industry's dynamics. Gartner and Forrester are known for their analytical magic quadrants and waves, which show company positions in the market. Statista offers a vast amount of charts and statistics on almost any conceivable topic. IBISWorld and Euromonitor specialize in analyzing consumer goods and services markets. How to use. If you have access through a university library, accelerator, or research budget, this is an invaluable resource. Even if not, many of them publish free overviews, infographics, or press releases with key figures that will still give you an idea. Look for reports on your industry or related fields. Trade associations and professional organizations. What it is. Almost every major industry has its own trade association, e.g., National Retail Federation, American Medical Association, Software and Information Industry Association. They lobby for their members' interests, conduct research, publish statistics, and organize events. Why it's important. They often publish free or inexpensive reports on the state of the industry, annual reviews, forecasts. This is not only a source of data, but also a way to understand who the key players are and what concerns your professional environment. How to use. Find associations related to your niche through a simple Google search. Subscribe to their newsletters, study publications, and press releases. They often share key insights and statistics to attract new members. Government agency and regulatory publications. What it is. The Federal Trade Commission, FTC, www.ftc.gov protects consumers and ensures competition. They publish reports on markets, antitrust investigations, and data related to consumer behavior and safety. Besides the FTC, useful reports can come from the FDA for healthcare, www.fda.gov, SEC for finance and public companies, www.sec.gov, Department of Labor for employment statistics, www.dal.gov, and other federal and state agencies. Why it's important: helps to understand the legal landscape, potential risks, and current challenges in consumer rights and competition. This is not just numbers, but also context that can reveal unmet needs or market gaps. How to use: explore their websites. They may have conducted research directly relevant to your niche or identified problems your startup could solve. For example, consumer complaint reports can indicate where the most acute problems exist in current solutions. Open data and academic research. What it is: many universities, research centers, and government programs publish data and research publicly. For example, Pew Research Center, www.pewresearch.org, regularly publishes studies on social trends and technology use, as well as in-depth analysis of various demographic groups. Why it's important: this is a free but very high-quality source of information on consumer behavior, social shifts, and technological preferences, supported by rigorous methodology. How to use: use Google Scholar to search for academic articles, explore data repositories of major universities, and websites of well-known research centers. Search engine and social media data. What it is: Google Trends, trends.google.com, data from advertising platforms, Google Ads, Facebook Ads, analytical tools for social media, e.g. BrandWatch, Hootsuite Insights, or built-in platform analytics. Why it's important: allows you to understand the popularity of search queries, audience interests, and their activity on specific topics in real time. This is the pulse of the market, reflecting live consumer interest. How to use: use Google Trends to see the dynamics of interest in specific words or phrases related to your idea. Run a small test ad campaign, even with a minimal budget, on Facebook ads or Google ads to learn the audience size with specific interests and geographical targeting. This will give you insight into the real behavior of potential customers, not just their statements. Tip: start with a broad search, then narrow it down. Cross-reference data from different sources. And remember, numbers are great, but they are only part of the picture. Your qualitative research, customer interviews, will help to bring these numbers to life, understanding the motivation behind the dry statistics. Defining total addressable market, TAM, serviceable available market, SAM, and serviceable obtainable market, SOM. From giants to your niche. These are perhaps the most important acronyms in your startup vocabulary. They help investors and yourself understand the size of the opportunity you're trying to capture. Without these calculations, you won't be able to clearly justify your growth potential. 1. Total addressable market, TAM. What it is: this is the maximum total revenue that could be generated if 100% of everyone who could be your customer bought your product or service. It's a theoretical maximum, the upper ceiling. TAM answers the question, how much money would I make if the entire world bought my product? How to calculate: typically, this is the number of all potential customers multiplied by the average price of your product service, or annual price. Example: you are creating a new CRM system for small and medium-sized businesses. Number of small and medium-sized businesses. Let's say you found in a Census Bureau report that there are about 33 million. Average annual subscription for your CRM, $500. TAM, cost 33 million times $500 equals $16.5 billion. This is a huge number, and it serves as a signal to investors. There's money in this market, it's not a tiny niche. Second serviceable available market, SAM. What it is. This is the portion of the TAM that you can realistically serve given your current business model, technologies, distribution channels, and geography. You can't serve everyone, so we narrow down the funnel to those you can genuinely reach. Sam answers the question, how much money can I make by serving those I can realistically reach with my current product service? How to calculate. You take the TAM and apply filters based on realistic limitations. Example with CRM. Your CRM is initially targeted only at companies with 10 to 50 employees, located in major cities with a high concentration of tech companies, and only those actively using cloud solutions. Out of 33 million small and medium-sized businesses, let's say only 5 million meet these strict criteria. Sam. 5 million times $500 equals $2.5 billion. This is a more realistic figure, showing your immediate potential in the foreseeable future. Third Serviceable Obtainable Market, SOM. What it is. This is the realistic share of the SAM that you can capture in the first 3 to 5 years, considering your team, resources, competition, and go-to-market strategy. This is your specific near-term target, based on your operational capability. SOM answers the question, how much money will I realistically make in the next few years, given current resources and competition? How to calculate. This is a percentage of the SAM. Example with CRM. There are already large players in the market and you are just starting. In the next 3 years, you can realistically aim for 1% of the SAM. SOM equals 1% of $2.5 billion equals $25 million. This is the figure you present to investors as your realistic annual revenue in a few years. It should be ambitious but achievable and supported by your plans. Why are these numbers so important? For you, they help you focus. Don't spread yourself thin across the whole world when your real potential lies in a specific niche. They help you understand how many resources you'll need and where to direct them. They provide clear goals. For investors, they are an indicator of growth potential. Investors want to see that your SOM can quickly grow to SAM, and SAM is part of a larger TAM. Nobody wants to invest in a company that eats a tiny slice of the pie. Ideally, you show that your SOM is just the beginning, and there's a clear, understandable path to capturing a larger share of the SAM, and then expanding the SAM to cover a larger portion of the TAM. Investors love to see that you understand not only your current size, but also the enormous opportunities for growth. How to calculate these metrics? Top-down method. Start with broad industry statistics, TAM, that you found in reports from Gartner, Statista, or the Census Bureau, and gradually narrow it down by applying filters for your target audience and product specifics. Example. The total online education market is X billion dollars. My product is a platform for teaching Python programming to adult beginners looking for a career change. What percentage of the total market is that? This is your SAM. And what percentage of this segment can I realistically capture in the first year? This is your SOM. Bottom-up method. Start with the number of potential customers you can reach. Example. I can attract 10,000 customers per year, each paying $50 per month. My SOM equals $50 times 12 months times 10,000 customers equals $6 million per year. Then you estimate how many such customers exist in total, SAM, and how many people could use a similar product in general, TAM. This method is often more accurate because it's based on your specific operational capabilities. It's best to use both methods and compare the results. If the numbers differ significantly, then something in your assumptions is incorrect and you need to recheck your source data or filters. Market segmentation, divide and conquer in a good way. The market is not a homogeneous mass. It consists of different groups of people or companies with varying needs, habits, and preferences. Segmentation is the process of dividing the entire market into smaller, manageable groups, segments, that have common characteristics and needs which can be targeted with specific products and marketing messages. Why is it needed? Focus. You can't be everything to everyone. Focusing on a specific segment allows you to create a product that perfectly suits it, solving its unique problems. Marketing efficiency. Instead of spending money on advertising for everyone, you direct your messages where they will resonate most. Hey, Grandma, buy our latest VR headset for the metaverse. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But if you clearly segment the audience, this won't happen, and you'll save your advertising budget. Competitive advantage. In a narrow niche, there are often fewer competitors, and you can become the undisputed leader in it before expanding. How to segment the market. In addition to the already mentioned demographic, psychographic, and geographic data, which are essentially the basis of segmentation, there are several other approaches. By behavior. Behavioral segmentation. Usage habits. How often do they use the product? How much do they spend? For example, users who make daily purchases in online stores versus those who buy once a week. Benefits sought. What is most important to them in a product? For example, delivery speed, premium quality, the lowest price, the status the product conveys, or its eco-friendliness. Brand loyalty. Are they very loyal to existing brands or open to new offers? User status. Potential users, new users, regular users, former users. Example. For a streaming service, you can identify segments. Avid movie buffs. Watch a lot, seek novelties. Casual viewers. Watch rarely, value simplicity. Series fans. Large catalog of series and exclusives are important. Family subscriptions, content for all ages is important. Each of them needs its own content and marketing strategy. By product usage, usage-based segmentation. Usage intensity, heavy users, frequently and extensively, moderate users, light users, rarely and minimally. Purchase frequency, daily, weekly, monthly, annually. Example. For a SaaS product, you can distinguish large corporate clients, many features, high price, individual support, small and medium-sized businesses, basic functionality, medium price, standard support, freelancers, very limited functionality, low price, or free version. By needs, needs-based segmentation. This is the most complex but also the most powerful form of segmentation. It focuses on the deep, not always obvious, customer needs that your product solves. Example, people buying a car can be segmented not only by income, but also by needs. Need reliable and safe transportation for the family. Want to impress and emphasize status. Maximum fuel efficiency and environmental friendliness are important. Love fast driving and maneuverability. Your task is to understand which of these deep needs your product solves. How to choose your segment. Size and growth. Is this segment large enough to support your growth? Does it have potential for expansion? Don't choose a segment that is too small to be profitable or that is shrinking. Attractiveness. How easy is it to reach this segment? Is the competition high within it? Are its representatives willing to pay for your solution? Do they have a real pain point that you can eliminate? Fit with your resources. Can you realistically create a product that perfectly meets the needs of this segment, considering your team, budget, and expertise? Don't try to bite off too much if you don't have the resources. Accessibility. Do you have effective channels to reach this segment? Where do these people spend their time? What do they read? What do they watch? A small secret of successful startups. Sometimes your target segment seems very small, but this is not always bad. Startups often start with a very narrow niche to become the undisputed leader in it and then gradually expand. This is called a beachhead strategy. First, capture a small but strategically important foothold and then launch an offensive into larger markets from there. Example. Facebook was initially closed only to Harvard students. This was a very narrow but well-defined and interconnected segment. They managed to build a strong community and refine the product there. Only after that did they gradually open up to other universities, then to high school students, and then to the whole world. If they had immediately tried to reach the whole world, they would have spread their resources thin and possibly failed. What to do with this information? Gather data. Use the sources listed above to collect as much quantitative data as possible about your market and segments. Don't be lazy. Dig deep. Calculate TAM, SAM, SOM. Try to estimate these 3 key metrics for your startup. Be realistic in your assumptions, but don't be afraid to show ambition regarding the overall market. Define and describe segments. Based on the collected data and your personas, identify 2 to 3 main segments you could serve. Choose 1 or 2 of the most promising ones to start, those where you see the greatest pain and the fewest adequate solutions. Visualize. Create graphs and charts to visually represent the size and dynamics of the market, as well as your startup's place within it. This will greatly help you in pitches to investors and in explaining your strategy to your team. Remember, the market is not a static picture, but a living organism. It is constantly changing under the influence of technology, social trends, and economic factors. Your market analysis should not be a one-time project, but a continuous process of monitoring and adaptation. Now that we've defined the size of the pie and its most appetizing slices, it's time to see who else is trying to take a bite. That is, to conduct a competitive analysis. Ready to find out who your rivals are and what their strengths are?